Hello, and excuse me. Thank you for tuning in. You are tuned in to the Encourager, and my name is Nehru. We are going to get going again on the Book of Enoch and pick up where we left off in the 89th chapter, where we see, excuse me, immediately my nose starts running. So that is just... our bodies do weird things when we're in alignment. Like the body talks to us. Actually, it's weird. So my nose was perfectly fine before I pressed record. Like it's just, it's crazy. Anyway, so thank you so much for tuning in. The body can barely handle just the soul being there, let alone ascension. Barely contain those. Raw. and so, yeah. Your body definitely gives you answers to questions that you ask Most High. Okay? Or your body gives you indications of danger or what have you, good vibes, bad vibes. Okay, so yes, so we've just finished up part of chapter 89. I think chapter 89 is like 80 verses or something. Most of the chapters are not that long. Most of them are only a couple of verses. But we are reading the spiritual flow of Moses and the children of Israel. So again, there is always a natural and a spiritual. One of the messages that Steve used to speak all the time that I don't agree with is he used to say first the natural, then the spiritual. I believe it's first the spiritual because the spiritual always has been, then the natural. The spirit guides me. If my spirit 222 on the timer, if my spirit didn't tell me to pray or to sage or to cleanse my energy, I could not take the physical steps to do so. So to me, again, I spent 20 years with that gentleman in his ministry, the Rock of Central Florida in Sanford, Florida, on State Road 46. I was sent there from the military. Literally, Most High sent me there. That was my 20-year journey. 20 years in Tibet instead of 7. And so that's where I was for 20 years. That was my mission. And within it, a bunch of little missions. But yeah, so that's where Moses is right now. He's gone up to the rock, right? And Enoch describes this vision as a sheep. He describes Noah Noah too, but Moses being the sheep. Noah also, he talked about Noah and the flood and all of that. That had, I think that had just happened in maybe chapters 85, 4, somewhere in the early 80s chapters. All right, so maybe the early 80s are important. Let's get going. I'm going to pick up on the 29th verse here in chapter 89, verse 29 of the Book of Enoch that covers the Watchers, the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, how they came here, had sex with beings, and then these beings and the Nephilim created giants. Okay? So, here we go. 29th verse, chapter 89. And this sheep ascended to the height of a high rock, and the Lord of the sheep sent it to them. And after that I saw the Lord of the sheep as he stood before them, and his appearance was terrible and powerful. And all those sheep saw him and were afraid before his face. So we know that in Genesis to Revelation, again, the minute truth that man puts in that book is just enough to keep you hopeful that someday you will get to paradise if you don't sin. Tell me that's not a bunch of bullshit. Okay? You are the divine creator. You are 44 minutes and 44 seconds. You are. Okay? Why are we going to a man or a woman every week looking for them to tell us how we need to live our lives? Why? I'm all about the deconstruction of the church. Okay? Deconstruction of the church. Right? There's too many Gwen Shamblings. There's too many Reverend James Clevelands. By the way, Reverend is not a biblical title. You will never find Reverend in the Bible. You will not find Reverend in canon scripture anywhere. Reverend is a religious title created by religious organizations. Reverend. Okay? And they were all afraid and trembled before him and cried after the sheep which was with him to the other sheep which was among them. So we know in Genesis to Revelation, Moses goes onto the mount of wherever, Mount Olive, Mount Carmel, Mount whatever, right? He's talking, having conversation with the Lord, like, these people complaining, they're whining, I can't deal with this, I don't know why you connected me to these motherfuckers, I told you I couldn't speak clearly anyway. Like, I can hear those conversations. So he was frustrated, right? I've had so many of those conversations with Most High, right? What the fuck are they doing? How are they doing witchcraft? How is he doing witchcraft against his son? How are you going to take your son's wife and his daughter? And how are you going to do? How is the Rock not going to believe the one who's been with them for 20 years? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because we are wrestling not against flesh and blood. So you trying to sit there and convince the enemy is the dumbest waste of time ever. 636. That was a 6. That's the dumbest waste of time ever, sitting there trying to convince the enemy of who you are. Just walk away and show the enemy who you are. Okay? I like a pimp walk. You know what a pimp walk is? I like a pimp walk. Like Roman Rome used to do. Doom-doom. 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 Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. I said you're wrong. That's from the 90s hilarious show, Martin. That has to be one of the top 5 comedies of all time. Yes. So, by way again, I will mention Marla Gibbs and Taraji P. Henson's name has been brought to me recently. I don't know why. Maybe they'll be in the news or something at some point soon. Okay. And the Lord of the sheep was enraged over them greatly, and the sheep discovered it and descended from the height of the rock and came to the sheep and found the greater part of them blinded as their eyes and erring from their path, from his path. Okay. So Moses comes down off the Mount of Olive. I keep hearing Mount. Maybe that is what it is. I don't really know. I could look that up. I'm sitting here on a laptop. I don't really want to do that. And as they saw, because again, man has changed that book so much, I would much rather just read about the spiritual journey of it and then allow Most High to let me know who the individuals are. You know what I'm saying? I'd much rather do that. Okay? Read about their esoteric journey. I don't care what their natural name is. That's not significant to me. Do I care that his name was Jesus? No, not really. Okay, what's significant to me is that he is from Yah. What's significant to me is that he is the son of Ra. What's significant to me, you know what I mean? Those things are significant to me. Not that his name is Jesus. No more than the person who's doing witchcraft against you, whose name is Michael. It doesn't matter. It's the spirit of the individual. It's the Azazel that's in them. Okay? It's the Apophis that's in them. It's the Apep that's in them. Okay? Jezebel, Luciferian spirit. Verse 34. And as they saw it, they feared and trembled before its face, and desired to return to their folds. They wanted to go back to the land of their captives. Okay, they were like, no, we don't want to do this anymore. The journey should have only taken 2 years. It took 40. It took 38 more years. That number might be important. That's an 11. It took 38 more years than it should have in order for them to get to the promised land. I feel like it took me 38 more years to get to the promised land. I feel like I'm a late bloomer because of all the witchcraft and shit that's been going on, right? 35. And that sheep took other sheep with it and came to those erring sheep, or those who had went astray. Why does he carry a rod and a staff? He carries a rod and a staff, and a rod and a staff is all one. Okay, it's one unit. Okay, 1020 on the timer. And so the rod and the staff, they both protect and discipline. Okay? Right. Rod does one part, staff does another part. Right? And I saw there, verse 36, in the vision till that sheep became a man and built the Lord of the sheep a house, and placed all the sheep in that house. And I saw till that sheep that had met the sheep which led the sheep reposed in death. And I saw till all the large sheep were destroyed, and the small ones arose in their place. And they came to a pasture and approached a stream of water. Verse 38. And this sheep which led them and which became a man was separated from them in death. And all the sheep sought it and cried out over it exceedingly. And I saw till they became quiet from their crying over this sheep, and they crossed that stream of water. And there always arose other sheep that led them in the place of those which had departed and led them. Okay, so this is talking about lineage after lineage, leadership after leadership. So you have Moses, you have Noah, you have Abraham, you have Enoch, you have Ruth, and this is talking about the different leaders that have come along the way. Okay, Abel, even though his brother Cain, right, slew him, he came back. It'd be interesting to find out who Abel has been in other lifetimes. Okay, 12:12 on the timer when I said it. All right, so that's literally how it is. So one leader comes, whether that leader passes through whatever means. Okay, and I'm always reminded of the 60s here in the U.S. So in the 60s were a pivotal point. And 6 is 3-3. Okay? We know that 3 is Adam. 3-3 is Jesus. 3-3-3 is to come. Okay? I'm not lying. All right? So, when we talk about the leaders that we read about in the canon, then we can really truly see. I wasn't born, wow, throat chakra clogged for sure. I wasn't born in, the enemy really doesn't want this to get out at all. And again, it's not former friends and all that. It's literally the energetic enemy, the one that was kicked out of the 5D and from communion with Most High. That is the spirit that is trying to clog up my nasal passages right now. I don't have allergies or anything, right, from speaking this. Okay? I literally... Crazy. So anyway, yes. So that is what it's saying. I wasn't born this lifetime in Israel. However, perhaps there were ancestors. Perhaps I was in a different lifetime. So generation to generation, there's always been a leader that has stepped up, right? Who has tried to lead Most High's people. Those who are vibrating in high energy. Those who have ascended. Those who, in whatever lifetime, okay? Those who are ready at whatever given time. Most High has always provided leadership, right, in the way of shamans, healers, empaths, light workers, star seeds, and these individuals today, they show up in many different forms. So in 330 BC, right, Michael Jackson showed up then differently than he showed up in 1962 or something. I don't know, when was Michael Jackson I'll look that up, because he's one of the light workers that I'm connected with. So I will look that up and see what year he's born. I want to say 62. Oh, 58. Okay, so 58. Okay, so the 29th, by the way, of 58. Right, and so that's an 11. Okay, so Michael Jackson, the king of pop. I'm just going to go through this real quick. 8, 29, 58. Okay, 58 is 13. 29 is 11. 8, 11, 13. 8, 11, 13. King of pop. Okay? Michael Jackson said, when he was asked how do you get your lyrics and your moves and all that, he said, the Lord gives them to me when I'm sleeping. If I take a nap, the Lord gives me lyrics and dance moves. That's what he said. Yeah, and so, yeah, the Lord gives them to me. You know. That's my best Michael Jackson impersonation. I don't know how that went. So anyway, so let's get back to the Book of Enoch. So yes, and I saw till the sheep had met. Till the sheep had met, were destroyed, other sheep taking their place. Again, in the 60s, significant for us, okay? Here in this country, Malcolm X, or Malcolm Little, Martin Luther King Jr., and John F. Kennedy, within, not just within 10 years, but within like 7 years, gone. All those key leaderships, they were the top leaders in this country at that time. The top. You have the President of the United States and the two individuals that are fighting for equality, heading this spiritual battle in this country, this last millennium, last century. I was going to say this one, but last, right? So, and I saw till they became quiet from their crying over this sheep, and they crossed that stream of water, and there always arose other sheep that led them in the place of those which had departed and led them. And I saw in verse 40, the sheep until they came into a good place and into a pleasant and glorious land, that's the promised land. And I saw these sheep till they were satisfied, but the house stood among them in the beautiful land. And some of us are getting ready to go into a beautiful land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Some of us, divine masculines, divine feminines, we are getting ready to walk into this place. Some of us, it's in a different land that we are in, so we will have to travel across waters. We will have to do these things because this is where the promised land is for us. Are you willing to go to other lands, other places? It might be on the other side of your country. It might be in your same state. It might be on the other side of your state. It might be on the other side of the world. Are you willing to go? Because it's your promised land. Okay? I like that we are right around verse 40, verse 41. And it took that amount of time to get to the promised land. I like that synchronicity. Okay? Verse 41. And sometimes their eyes were open, and sometimes they were blinded, till another sheep arose and led them and conducted them all back, and their eyes were open. So over time, again, nothing is new under the sun. Most High did his final work on the 6th day, set all the spiritual laws into place, everything. When the sun would rise, when the portals of the moon would go and shine upon certain places and spaces, and when the sun portal would go and the angels would control that, and all of those things were done within the span of what he calls the 6 days. However long that lasted. It could have been thousands upon millions of years for 6 days. Okay? We know 1,000 years are but a day in his sight. We learned through the book of the Cave of Treasure, or the first book of Adam and Eve that I've shared on this platform last year. We know that, or maybe this year, through their journey, we know that, hold on. We know that through Adam and Eve's journey, that they were evicted out of the promised land, their Garden of Eden, right? But this represents a separation of, wow, the clogging is serious. My nose wasn't even stuffy. Wow. So this represents man separating himself. Every story that talks about separation. So David sleeping with Bathsheba, Cain killing his brother Abel, Moses striking the rock the second time instead of speaking to it. Here we are where the children of Israel, or the children in general, is not just the children of Israel, but the chosen ones, right? Or have been birthed throughout time, and they have been called to lead. Confirmation with the air conditioning kick on. They have been led to lead other individuals, lower vibration, and those who are still in the dark. Okay? Again, in the natural, it looks like one thing, which is what the Bible covers. Spiritually, though, man has hidden things from you because man did not want you to know that you are spiritual. Okay? So man doesn't want you to know your ancestry. Okay? Because then you'll realize how fucking powerful you are. Then you'll realize you don't need a 9 to 5. You'll understand that that's just a slave. You'll understand, once you reach your promised land, 22 minutes exactly, that you are meant to be the head and not the tail, which means you are meant to be the owner of and not the nut or bolt somewhere lost down in the hull of the ship, because you're just in this little place, right, that no one thinks about until something major falls apart or happens. You know what I mean? You're not meant to be there. Okay? None of his people are. And the dogs and the foxes and the wild boars began to devour the sheep, to take another sheep, till another sheep arose, a buck in their midst, which led them. Okay? And I think we might have read that. Yes, we might have read that in the previous as well. Maybe I didn't want to go that far back. But it's good that we did, right? So who are the dogs? Can be seen two different ways. Can be seen as the evolution of man. Okay? So we have Homo sapien, and then we have Homo sapien, and then we have, why am I drawing a blank? Homo sapien and Homo erectus. Right? I think those are back to back. I think. So anyway, different leaderships, different types of leaders, different leaders of different beliefs, right? The world was starting to spread out, okay? Because again, we're talking about land masses that were once together. So when we think about the world, most of us think about the world as it existing as we see it today. Separated water and blah, 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 and water between continents. It wasn't always that way. The Great Flood created these things. The Great Flood is what sent Atlantis wherever it went. The Great Flood is what sent some of these places that we find underground and that we find remnants of in the water, right, deep down in these dark, deep water. These places that we discover under layers of sedimentary rock. I just got that. I haven't heard sedimentary rock since I was in science school in Naperville, Illinois. Go Huskies. Okay? I have not, sedimentary rock. I like, bing, it just came as soon as I was talking. Sedimentary rock. Right? I love that science class. The teacher of that class was Mr. Rosenthal. He was also a former mayor of Bolingbrook, Illinois. That's pretty interesting. A little fact. Michael Jordan's oldest brother was my first sergeant. His name is James Jordan. He's a retired command sergeant major in the United States Army. He's 5'5". You can look him up and find out. Okay. He's my first sergeant at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So let's see. And that second buck arose and led the smaller sheep, and the buck begat many sheep, and in death, and a small sheep became the buck in its place. So it's just talking about, again, numerous leaders over time who've attempted to be the light worker and the earth angel birthed into this place to lead the people. It has taken many years, many decades, many centuries, many millennia, many rising and falling of the sun portals, moon portals. But I think we're on the precipice. We're on the edge of something beautiful. Okay? And that house became great and broad, and a large tower was built on that house of the Lord of the sheep for those sheep. And the house was low, but the tower was high and broad. And the Lord of the sheep stood on the tower, and they placed a full table before him. And I saw again those sheep that again erred and went many ways. Again, this is what is happening to us today, collective. It's no different. Earth angels, I don't like losing collective. Earth angels, ascended masters, light workers, healers, empaths. This is the same thing that's happening to us today. So the karmic sperm donor that came against me, him, Judy, whatever secrets they're holding against me, or whatever they know about my early childhood and me being born and who I really belong to, if I don't belong to them, like all of that sort of thing, okay? If I was bought as an infant, whatever that is, and there are those cases today. If you do not believe that MK Ultra is real, and so many other scientific, government, secret experiments, okay, done by these closet societies, you haven't, I said I don't read a lot, you haven't read enough. Okay, if you are in that same mindset that that's not real or that doesn't exist, it was 27 when I said that on the time. And Most High went back and wanted me to mention it. I just mentioned it. I wasn't going to, but it was 27. So yeah, okay. So moving along, and one of them was saved and was not killed. Oh, sorry, I skipped. And I again saw those sheep that they again erred and went away and left their house. That's security. That's peace of mind. Your house. Okay. The temple is considered, your body is considered or referenced as a house. Okay? And the Lord of the sheep, your physical body, called some from among them and sent them to the sheep, but the sheep began to kill them. And one of them was saved and was not killed, but escaped and cried over the sheep, and they wanted to kill it. But the Lord of the sheep saved it of the hands of the sheep and brought it up to me and caused it to dwell there. And he sent many other sheep to those sheep to admonish them and to lament over them. And verse 54, and after that I saw, and as they left the house of the Lord of the sheep and his tower, they departed entirely. And which means there was no remnant. And their eyes were blinded. And I saw the Lord of the sheep, that he had caused much death among them in each one of their herds, till these sheep even called for this death, and they betrayed his place. And he left them in the land of the lions and tigers and wolves and jackals, and in the hand of foxes, and in the wild beasts. And these wild beasts began to tear those sheep to pieces. And I saw that he left that house of theirs and their tower, and gave them into the hand of the lions, hand of lions, that they should tear the devour them into the hand of all the wild beasts. So we know that a tower in tarot, we know 30 minutes exactly, or 3010, sorry. We know exactly what a tower is. I'm looking for the tower card in this deck here that I have, that I use for our angel number readings. So, see if I can find the tower here real quick, just so we can see the tower. Okay, great, there it is. Ooh, something says count the number card that is. Okay, all right. So I got the tower out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So the number 20 is significant for right now. This card is the 20 card. It was the 20th card as I was thumbing through, right? Okay. So this is the tower, or at least this is what this card looks like. So this is the tower that is being referenced in the Book of Enoch, that Enoch is referencing. Okay? So he's talking about the tower. I don't know if the tower or the word tower is even mentioned between Genesis and Revelation in this same regard. Okay? And their tower and tear those sheep to pieces. And I saw that he left the house and the tower and gave them all into the hand of the lion to tear and devour them. Okay. Verse 57, and I began to cry aloud with all my power and called upon the Lord of the sheep and showed him this in reference to the sheep, that they were being devoured by all the wild beasts. But he remained silent, seeing it, and rejoiced that they were devoured and swallowed and robbed, and left them in the hand of the wild beasts as food. And he called 70 shepherds and put away those sheep in order that they should pasture them. And he spoke to the shepherds and to their companions. Each single one of you, and this is in quotes, each single one of you shall now pasture the sheep, and everything I command you, do. Okay, it's everything I command you, comma, do, exclamation point. Verse 60, and I deliver them over to you according to number, and will tell you which of them shall be destroyed, those killed. So what I hate. The things that Most High hates, 33 minutes and 13 seconds. Whatever Most High hates, hate. I hate what you hate. Yeshua, the son of Ra, told us that because they hate me, they're going to hate you. 33. Because they hate me, they're going to hate you. Verse 61, and he gave those sheep over to them and to another, and called and said to him, watch and see everything that the shepherds do concerning these sheep, for they will destroy more of them than I commanded. Most High already knows the end from the beginning. And each superabundance and the destruction which the shepherds do to these write down. Again, these are the lost books. How many they destroy by my command, and how many they destroy by their own will. Moses tried to destroy something a second time by his own will. That's why he didn't speak to the rock as he was guided. He struck the rock the first time. He was guided to do so the first time, to strike it. But he was supposed to speak to the rock the second time. He didn't do that. He struck the rock out of disobedience, pride, ego, whatever, frustration. We've all been there. Okay? Verse 61. Watch and see everything that the shepherds do concerning these sheep, for they will destroy more of them than I commanded. 62. And each superabundance and the destruction which the shepherds do to these write down, or annotate, scribe, how many they destroy by my command, and how many they destroy by their own will, and write down separately each destruction by each shepherd. And according to the number, recite before me how many they have destroyed of their own account, and how many were given them for destruction, that this may be a testimony for me against them, that I may know every deed of the shepherds, to give them over, and may see what they do, whether they do my commands which I commanded them or not. Verse 64. And they shall not know, and thou shalt not let them know, not admonish them, but write down all the destruction. So don't say anything to them, just write. Okay? Don't tell them don't remind them about what I said, just observe and annotate. Okay? Be a stenographer. Just saying. Okay? And I saw, 65, and I saw shepherds, I saw till those shepherds pastured in their times, and began to kill and destroy more than what was commanded of them. So leadership after leadership would get frustrated and not fulfill the purpose, not lead the people, whatever, grow angry with the people, and swallowed the greater part, was commanded them, and left those sheep in the hands of the lions. Again, leadership giving up. And the lions and the tigers devoured and swallowed the greater part of those sheep. And the wild boars devoured with them, and burned that tower, and demolished that house. And I mourned a great deal over that tower, because that house of the sheep was demolished. And after I could no longer see those sheep, those sheep, whether they enter the house, 68, and the shepherds and their companions delivered over those sheep to all the wild beasts to devour them. And each one of them received in his time a certain number, and of each of those wrote down in a book how many he destroyed. 69. And each one killed and destroyed more than was ordered him. And I began to cry and lament exceedingly concerning those sheep. And in the vision I began to cry and to lament exceedingly concerning those sheep. So something's being brought to me right now. So the leader, I talked about the 60s, the 3 U.S. leaders that were assassinated in the 60s, or at least the ones that I spoke of. We do not know their lives. We do not know their private lives. We think we do. We only know what the media shares with us. We only know what societies want to release to us until such a day as righteous people are in those places. People who are of unconditional love are in those places of leadership. Then we'll get to know the whole truth. Until then, we can just access our Akashic records and spiritual downloads through our crown chakra, and continuing to have or be sure that we are in alignment with our higher self is really all that we can do. Okay? And so what's being brought to me is we don't know their lives, their private lives. There's rumors about JFK and Marilyn Monroe. I know that, right? And probably others too. Okay? So we don't know their private lives. Right? We don't know. Right? So whatever end was brought upon them, some might see it as tragic, but the truth of the matter is, because of what they may have ultimately delved into, or whatever karma came back to bite them, maybe it was karma, Maybe it was the Luciferians who unalived them 40 minutes exactly when I looked over at the time. Who knows? Okay? So, verse 70. And in the vision I saw that scribe, see I said scribe, as he wrote, each one that was destroyed by the shepherds, one each day, and one brought up and opened and showed the whole book of to the Lord of the sheep, everything that had been done, and every one that each single one had removed, and every one that had handed over for destruction, that they had handed over for destruction. And the book was read before the Lord of the sheep, and he took the book in his hand and read it and sealed it and laid it down. There are many books, many books. And after that, I saw that shepherds pastured 12 hours. And behold, 3 of those shepherds turned around and came and entered, and began to build everything that was demolished of the house. But the wild boars attempted to hinder them, and they could not. So there are people being raised up. I'm reminded of a song. Let me find this song. It's a song that I started listening to back when I was in military intelligence school, ironically. And Most High had separated me from the sperm donor because I was a part of his ministry when I was getting out of the military the first time at year 7. I ended up getting out at year 8, actually. So yeah, let me find this song real quick. And it's just a powerful song, at least to me. Okay. And it's Mississippi Mass Choir, 1996. Their choice. In olden days, a nation was chosen, but when they didn't live up to their part, God sent his only begotten Son. By choosing him, would set his people apart. A choice that's given to every nation. The nations are the people. I am here to heal the nations. You are a nation. My God has a chosen people, and it's those who make Christ their choice. Right? It's those who make him their choice. So originally, it was the children of Israel. Now, even Yeshua, right, said that not just one, so I didn't come just for this people. I came so that all of man might. Okay? 3:3 said that. Okay? So if you, children of Israel, don't want to, somebody else is going to worship me, is basically essentially what Most High is saying. If you don't want to, the rocks will cry out. There are another people elsewhere. So whosoever will come now, will. It's not just Hebrews, it's not just this, it's not just whatever. Anybody. Jew, Gentile, come on over. Okay? Because, yeah, it's 44 minutes. It's 44 seconds. Okay. And they began to build as before, and it was called the high tower, and they began to place a table, right? 74, verse 74, and concerning all this, the sheep was blinded as to their eyes, and did not see, and their shepherds likewise, and a great many were delivered to their shepherds for destruction, and they trod on the sheep with their feet, and devoured them. And the Lord of the sheep remained quiet till all the sheep were scattered in the field, and mixed themselves with them, and did not save them from the hands of the wild beasts. And he who wrote the book brought it to the houses of the Lord of the sheep, and showed it, and read it, and petitioned him, and this is esoterically, okay, on their account, and asked him, while showing him all the deeds of their shepherds, and testifying before him against all the shepherds. Verse 77, and he took the book and laid it beside him, and departed. Okay? So I am going to stop it there. I think, how long is chapter 90? Yeah, I'll stop it there. Chapter 90 is another long chapter. It's 42 verses. Okay? So that's the completion of, again, I know it was only one chapter, but it was a lot of verses. Okay? So chapter 89, the book, or the Books of Enoch. This specific book is the one that covers the Watchers, the Nephilim, Anunnaki, okay? And again, we're seeing how the flood on earth happened. That is mentioned in the book of the Genesis to Revelation book. But it doesn't tell you about the esoteric, okay? It doesn't tell you about what happens. Man sees that book, and man sees that book as being chronologically in order. That book is not chronologically in order. Trust me, that book is not chronologically in order, okay? So again, if you want to know the truth, you have to go beyond what man is giving you. Because what man is giving you is a lie. Just like Social Security, just like Obama tax, just like marketplace insurance, just like tolls, it's a tax. Man calls it a different name. If you don't know that man injected IgG4 nephropathy, never mind. I said IgG4 nephropathy. I didn't mean that. That's what attacked my kidneys. I didn't mean that. What I meant was the vid. You know what I'm talking about. That was injected, just like HIV, just like whatever, right? And Most High uses these things as judgment. Okay? Those things are portals too. So if you get into the fuck any end of your body portal, you are going to come out of that portal with a disease. Okay? If you sleep with people that you know run the streets, you can run the streets with your thugs. I've been waiting for you until you get through. I'll be waiting. You can run the streets with your thugs. Some people are like that. I'm not like that. I don't run with thugs. I run alone. Okay? Because I move fast and I move mysteriously. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name's Nehru. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can do so, and you should move mysteriously too. Again, what I say, if it comes across as cocky or whatever, it's not. I am confident, but I'm not egotistical in any way. And anyone who knows me, they will tell you that. There is no way that he's egotistical. They will tell you that I am an oddly humble and mysteriously strong being, if they were really being truthful with you. That's everyone I've met in this entire lifetime, from Kevin to Judy, Odessa, Berlin, Janet, Janice, Shanita, Christina, Delois, Denise, Yolanda, Suki, Valida, Nakisha, Matthew, Paul, Stephen, James, Jonathan. All of my siblings, by the way, my brothers, they all have biblical names except for me. Stephen, James, John. I don't have a John. I have a Jonathan. Paul, Timothy, Joseph. They all have biblical names. I'm the only one who doesn't. And yet, here I am. Okay? So thank you so much for tuning in. I have a biblical name that is not. Between Genesis and Revelation, other than faithful. And I am that. 100%. Right? So thank you so much as always for tuning in. Oh, if you want to get in touch with me, you can do so but via email. I am at theencourager333@gmail. On X or Twitter, I am at Nehru Patah. On Instagram, I am theencourager333. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. If you would also like to get in touch with me or connect on Facebook, you can do so at Nehru Patah. That's NEHRUPTAH. That is 2 names. Thank you so much as always, and be encouraged.